Oh, okay. I know. I can't tell that. Oh, but nice try.
Oh, there's nobody. So impressive.
Fine.
That book, I don't know if she's going to use that this time or not.
Oh, that other one.
I'll probably run into each other before you use it.
See how we can get along.
Okay. Is there a redhead here?
Famous Sherlockians from Brighton. Brighton and where? Brighton and where?
Sorry, sir.
You said Brighton. Where's the other? You're from?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Where in Kentucky?
Bowling Green.
All right.
There was also supposed to be a draft. I like the guy from McNeil
I'm a male, man. He's a sucker. Yeah, you're not a charter. No, definitely. This guy. A lot of people wears it like this. Dinners are They left the old man home. They may be with oh, is that what it's for? Everybody's got to
really question it. Like, you go into the van, you take care of consistency.
I've been excited all day about this. Oh, we've been excited. We're talking all week. I've never done this.
I worked with 2 years
And they're cute. Sleep with each other. I love it.
Yes. That's the type of, it's like,
Then,
We can work out that.
so we're just going tonight and Saturday. Photo session.
But like I said, you're an audio visual person in Germany. Oh, I know. Really?
where I used to work as a chemist.
Rathbone was certainly good, he just didn't have the material. But I think Brett possesses the wit that's in the canon.
I would agree.
He possesses the wit and that sardonic humor that's present in the canon that nobody else has ever brought. That's okay. Walk where you need to go.
When you click it, that's when I walk.
I got it going. This is going all the time. You just be part of the film. No problem.
Have you made any bids?
Not yet. I'm gonna look it over in a while.
The only one I want.
Two men. Emerson was. Yeah, 93.
93.
But I'm finishing mechanics, so I've got to get on with it.
We want that.
Well, do my best. But then I did play when I finished it. It was like a swan song to others. Then I was passed the torch on to a younger man.
We'll finish it first.
Yeah,
Then we'll worry about what the younger generation will.
do our best. Nice to meet you.
I make progress.
Did you get all that on video, Kramer?
No, I don't. Spoke to him last night. He's doing a plan now. George Bennett Short. Do you know what makes me so sad? I've lost it. And I really love it. No, I left it at the bus stop. And I put it down and then I was upset. This time later. No, I guess it's just
up there, so
Oh, I think I did too.
go ahead. Just go ahead. Go ahead. That's what I want. I always want to get our members turn and smile for the camera. Got to. That's why I'm doing this.
Cochran Road.
He's right.
We should have a 2, right?
Sure. See how far he gets time to say nothing.
And you saw him baby from home.
Not getting very close at all.
It was so close.
I want to get all these distinguished Sherlockians here.
It was supposed to be 4 a year, like for the first couple of years, he only got like out 4 every 2 years, but he didn't get them. Now I think he's going to
You were supposed to look though. That's okay.
Oh, is that a lovely pad? It's like the like of the butterfly.
Yeah, when I first bought this camera, this is a $2.
Oh.
It only takes $2 when I first bought this. So you had to pay like a couple $100 a month with this low light.
I got so many things wrong.
In fact, I really have to tone it down.
No, what I
Right
did,
day
the
was
devil's foot.
I had too much.
I rang his
Which is like so that would have been good pictures. It was less than satisfactory.
And I asked him if I could bury the cylinder in the sand to say goodbye to him. Because it was, remember, in Victorian days, as in Wall Street, as in Fleet Street, you know, you finished work, you went to the opium den. It must have been lovely, but they did. And cocaine was laxative. And now, of course, it's much more serious, we all know that. So I buried the syringe there. And I didn't go to it because you can't touch on it. It's not what Doyle wanted. There's another eccentricity, another trimming to this extraordinary genius that he invented. But it's not part of it. So I made it to rest. In 1991.
Of interest to me, I'm a surgeon. The founder of American Surgeon, William Stewart Halsted, was a cocaine addict. He did his most brilliant work at Johns Hopkins in the time of his life when he worked out. And I found it an interesting parallel that here is this brilliant character creation of a physician who is a physician here in the United States. Two fascinating individuals who were created.
I tell you what I discovered through playing and that is that, of course, what he does is to take a grade and opium to come down. Not to go up. So in other words, he can sleep. In other words, it's a rest. I tell you how I learned this, that I got trapped into a cinema. I happened to enjoy playing Holmes immensely because it's complicated, difficult to play, especially on a daily basis, because you walk around looking like an undertaker and you don't have dinner with you. And I used to go back to my hotel and think, I must celebrate. I've got to celebrate me. So I would buy myself a bottle of very nice champagne. Over the years, the 9 years I've been playing, instead of champagne being an upper, and then I put the two together and I thought, oh, I see. And I think that the people who are working at that speed and the precision, as the person you're talking about, probably took it to drop.
Perhaps eventually he did it because he was experimenting.
Where it became dangerous when I was in the salt mines in Bolivia, where they have cocaine, coke, the leaves, and the people were activating coke with clay. Is to kill the pain of their neighbour. And then, of course, it became addictive, it became crack, it became all sorts of
Well, this surgeon was the inventor of cocaine as a local anesthetic. That's where it originated, and he experimented on himself.
Well, I'm sure it must be the most wonderful way to have an operation in the entire world. As indeed, morphine is the most wonderful way to pass through this world into the next. Medicine's move.
Peaceful, yes. We can't come to any of your other events. Can I prevail on you for
Sure, of course. I might say I'm talking as though I know. I don't. It's what I believe.
Well, it's what you believe.
Yeah.
Of course, that's most best case. Has been best.
Who's the truth?
To Linda.
He's got a copy of the
Thank you so much.
We will look forward to many years, as many as you can tolerate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Say something.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know. Take a drag.
I just did.
What a
Don't
crap.
get too excited with it, Michael. You know, I mean,
Where's your wife? I'd rather photograph her.
she's in the.
Well, not in there. Never mind.
Was eventually cooked for him, cleaned for him. And I have in this last film I have wonderful things to say to her. I said to her, but in this last film I've just finished, Miss Hudson, vanish, got dreadfully underfoot. And she says, oh, you are a terror. You are a terror. I don't think Doyle would mind too much.
Not too much. Are there going to be more in the story?
Yes, I'm finishing the canon.
Great. That's terrific.
Slowly. My Mobile have been very kind to me, who are my angels, my money. And I rang them in March and they said, yes. We've just sold to our 83rd country. So, do you know that sign, Pegasus? So Pegasus is flying into Russia because we sold to Russia 2 weeks ago. So You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And Doyle will be heard, which is good.
So you will do all 60 then?
I'll do all 54 of the short stories.
Okay.
The Strand magazine.
Well, you've done 2 of the novels, so that's close.
Well, we had a crack at them. I thought The Hound of the Baskervilles was a bit awful. Sorry about that. Maybe we can shoot it again later. I don't know what went wrong, Mike. The director got drowsy or something. I like The Sound of Four. I like that. But we'll have a crack at The Hound later.
You didn't like your hound?
No.
No. Okay, that's good.
So it was putrid.
Mr. Brett, I think we have a gentleman who'd like to get your autograph.
Sam Lyon asked me to draw this cover for the...
You did this?
Yes, and I was wondering if you would sign it for me.
Of course I will. Well done.
Thank you.
It's great. It's great. My son lives in there. We go up there a
What's her
lot.
name?
You know, but it's
M-A-T-T.
it's great.
I'm only laughing because that's how I have to try and look when I'm playing.
I turned the first one in. Really, this is the second one I did. And
It's
the
very
first one,
good.
they told me to make you look more like how you doing.
It's very good.
It'll be all right. It's better than it's a low box camera.
You've got the eyes, the mouth, the nose. Well done. There's the Reichenbach tumbling down behind him. Well done, man. It's marvelous.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Whoops. God. Photographer photographing my navel.
Just looks like it. A couple here I wouldn't mind photographing, but it wouldn't be yours, I'm sorry.
It's me again. It's Dylan. Is it true? Well, I've got my son's best friend here who's going to show it to me.
Our camera came apart in the supermarket, so we're not too good on cameras.
All right? Beautiful book. Yes.
Hi, I'm Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Thomas.
Gosh.
I guess I have to give him, it's his camera.
This one.
This is a new one that just came out. Reproduction of this fan.
Oh, it's
Strand
wonderful.
has a
drawing
date.
indeed.
It's a lot of fun.
Wonderful.
Get in closer.
And it's nice.
Dancing Man.
Closer.
The thing that's nice is
Ed Slaney.
Right. Right.
Tom, right?
Right.
He prefers Thomas, but he doesn't like to tell people that. He seems too pretentious.
Thanks for telling me.
Mr. Brett, were you interested in Holmes prior to you playing the role?
No.
That's what he said.
I found him a bit frightening.
The same with your interpretation. No, I don't know whether to address you as Mr. Brett or Mr. Holmes.
I guess you just call me Jeremy, don't you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful pattern.
Thank you.
I'm going to get you to autograph this for a friend of mine. He's going to be here this weekend, but he's afraid he'll miss it. There's no glass on it.
Who's it to?
Will Cochran.
Will. William.
Yes.
Gotcha.
He was a friend anyway.
It's It's my father's name, so I love it.
Oh, how beautiful. It's all right.
Thank you so much. I'll take this.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And I'll glass this up.
This was my son's book that he went out and bought when he first saw Sherlock Holmes. He's down.
What's his name?
His name is Jim. He's down at the zoo, and he called even tonight just to say to him a wonderful time seeing you. Otherwise, if he didn't have his studies, he'd be here right now. Jimmy, Kathy, look at me. Has your son been in the States?
Yes.
This was just a photograph, if you don't mind.
It's a very cheerful photograph.
It is. You were so sweet to say hi. You were charming as could be. We took a photograph with some Britishers who didn't have a camera and mailed it to them. They wrote their book, and they were so thrilled to have a photograph with you. I know. Thank you so much. There's a mother and daughter over there. They're beautiful redhead, and they're too shy to come up, and they. I want to take a picture. They're very shy.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, they're just standing there admiring you.
Do my very best.
Okay, thank you so much.
Excuse me. I'd love to meet you.
When you want to meet. She won't come forward, but she wants to meet you.
Hello. What's your name?
Sally.
I'm Jared. Nice to meet you.
I can't believe you're in St. Louis.
Well, I think we're
There must
having
be some mistake.
Come and kneel down. I think we're having our photograph.
Oh, okay.
Look.
Okay, all right, okay.
We'll mail it to you.
Come a little bit lower because of the line.
You squat down here?
My wife will step far apart.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
This is not sexual harassment, I promise.
I have a Nita Hills phone number.
Thank you.
You're beautiful.
Oh,
She is. Hi, Joe.
Mr. Brett, at
Yes.
risk of blinding you once more.
Hello.
She's a little shy. Her name's Mary. She might be able to say
Glad to see you.
loves
Choice of fellas.
including
Good.
My Fair Lady.
Yes, I
Good.
love that.
It was a long time ago, before you were born.
Oh, I still watch it all the time.
Be happy.
Blue whale. We have a right.
Come on, Ray.
We are getting married.
November.
Watching everything right there.
Very fair.
He went down to Oaks Peak, led an expedition of our harpooners. We went down like.
Remember that was my birthday?
So you wanted to get an autograph on
So good luck. Not really. They kind of enjoy me vicariously. I think they'd like me to stay still.
Yeah,
Dash about. So I'm in one place, but that's the way life is.
That's right.
Be happy.
Yes, we will.
Be happy.
Thank you so much.
Good. These are two shellacking publications which I edit. I appreciate your John Henry.
Here's a beer pen.
Oh, somebody took his pen, huh?
I'll help you out.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe.
Joe, you're not in the frame. Move over, Joe.
Get Burr in closer.
Kind of reminded me of. Listen to your photographer here, Captain Kirk.
Burr to move in.
The face.
Much better.
This one's not much room. You just put your name up there. Any space remaining, you'll be fine.
I'll have you know, Mr. Brett, this man never leaves Peoria, and he came all the way down here to see you. He never leaves. He has a photograph of himself which makes meetings all over the world.
Don't make any trips.
But he won't do it.
Coming into you,
Hopefully the photograph will be here in the next day or two.
buy something here that's already autographed.
Your bag.
He's waving.
With Lee Secrets or Sherlock?
This is true.
Joe?
Jerry.
Joey.
You can't sell this now, John.
Don't worry, I'm not.
And I don't know it's like national. Joe, can I jump ahead of you and ask for the
First edition.
Just go ahead.
Well, it's just sort of the fork that which they couldn't do as much.
I made the big mistake.
That was the one thing when they recorded one.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Yes. Hello, darling. How are you?
Michael, could you turn that off?
Nice to see you.
No, we got to get you, Elizabeth.
I forgot to sign these this afternoon, and now I'm going to have them signed like to the general public, and then I'm going to put them back on the table. People are saying,
It's only the first time you've ever made a mistake, isn't it?
Today.
Today.
I appreciate it. That I'll admit to.
That's you're not in the picture. Get down there. Oh, gosh.
In your dreams, Thanks.
Actually, 270 and 9 miles.
That'll be the best reference from now on. Thanks a lot. No, I don't.
See you later.
Certainly. Chances are she might have.
I'll put that laptop to click. Well, better for that. I've been given a gift. I've even got his phone number. There's a compliment.
That answers the question. You always solve these little life dilemmas.
You must look at that. It's one step. Look at that. It's great. You see? It's done this evening.
She's okay. She's wild and weird.
That's right.
Have you decided that you're really happy with her makeup or something?
Where's Bill?
He's
just checking to see what's happening next here. We're just, how are you doing?
Fine.
We'd like as one of the local Sherlockian societies, we don't very often get an opportunity like this to meet our personification of Sherlock Holmes. It's an incredible job and it'll live on for all of us. The Harpooners is a St. Charles-based group, but we have many members from Illinois and in the St. Louis area. We'd like to present to Mr. Brett, Jeremy, if I may,
Please.
several things that our members in our group have. One is our mug, which is our Harpooners mug, and on there is Jeremy Brett, lifetime honorary member of the Harpooners of the Sea Unicorns. Also, one of our Harpooner name tags, and on the front it says Jeremy Brett, and on the back, what else? Sherlock Holmes. One of our lovely little pins, which is a sailing ship from the Harpooners, which I think you admired earlier on.
I love it.
And, of course, a membership certificate. And if you'd be so kind, we would like you to sign a couple membership certificates that we could display at our club meeting place, if you would. We can ship this to you, or you can take it with you tonight, whichever best for you.
Can I take it with me?
We'd love it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I don't have to be sorry. It was
Oh, I don't know, Joe.
oh, no. And it's on tape. How cool can I get? I mean. That's it.
I would love to. We receive our newsletter every month. Thank you very much. This is Michael Brett, our president of our group.
Thank you. Nonetheless.
Tom Cameron, our secretary.
Thank you.
And we'll pack this up for you.
Can I back up? Can I back up? This is wide angles. I get there.
My wife did.
Susie?
I've had a wonderful evening. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
See you again tomorrow.
Yes.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I think my two favorite scenes is very excited at the end of the second stage, jumping up
when I jumped. I had to beg for that.
I believe you did.
It is the same director who allowed me to jump over the sofa.
Am I correct in assuming that you were playing to the camera?
Yes.
I thought so. Could I ask why you watched it?
Yes, my first Watson, David Burke, had a son called Tom. And Tom was 2 when he started. And he lived a long way away from the studios. And, I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, England being so small, but it was 9 hours by train. And he really needed to be with his son. So he went to see his son, and Edward Hardwick stepped in.
I was just curious because the timing seemed interesting in that it coincided with 3 years.
That was very fortunate. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, I fly there on the 4th of November. I'm staying at the Ambassador's Hotel, and I'll be there for 4 days.
Will it be open to the public?
Yes. What do you mean, what? The hotel?
Is it sponsored by any particular group?
Yes, Mobile.
Yes.
This gentleman will tell you. It's their public television station. And I love Chicago because I played there twice in the theatre.
Yes.
Dracula 1980. And in 1956, before you were born, Trollis and Cressida. I love that city very much. You're wrong.
Am I right? How did you
We weren't there. It was more frightening. No. They said, Jeremy, sorry, we're going to lock you up in the hotel for the day. You're going to get too distressed. And I was literally made to stay in the hotel. And my brilliant double, Mark Boyle, stepped in. And the Reichenbach Falls, when you release the full pressure, is a thunderous sound. The spray reaches 1/4 mile. It comes straight from the Eiger, so it's freezing. And Alf Joint, who doubled for Moriarty, and Mark Boyle went over twice. Moriarty went over Alf Joint 4 times. And they lived. I'm in the hotel. So I got the champagne. And they come in. I said, God, you're alive. Of course, I hadn't seen what they'd done. I'd faint if I did that. I tried to stop it. Of course, that's why I didn't let it go. And they were having a sauna, so I took some champagne up to the sauna. And they were black and blue. Because of the harness, it had to be so tight, otherwise it pulls out. The clothes pull out. And they were black and blue. I just hope they got paid enough. Yes, we were there.
Gentleman back here.
When you do a study of Scarlet, are you looking forward to portraying Holmes in the early days of the relationship with Watson?
Do you mean the meeting?
Yes.
Stanford's arrangement? Immensely. I don't know what we're going to do with the rest of the story. I just long to know what to do with the rest of the story.
Because so much of the action.
Well, we cannot be so unkind to the Mormons. I mean, we've got to think of something else, haven't we? I'm looking forward to the Valley of Fear. Don't think they've solved the second half of that story yet. The beginning, I long to shoot, but what happens with the Mormons, I'm not sure. That's got to be, we've got to consult the Oracle on that one.
Gentleman right here.
To me, your portrayal of Holmes is, I want to say, better than Basil Rathbone, but it allows the viewer to see more of Holmes. And I think the pauses, your nonverbal gestures in the series are just remarkable. I guess you call them faultless because you want to see Holmes as a statue. But when you arch your eyebrow or when you twitch your lip, to me that creates so much of Sherlock Holmes.
Well, it's idiosyncratic, that's why I don't like it. I was tongue-tied as a child, so I had to work very hard on my speech, which sometimes makes my lip, in my endeavor to make the R sound. I've always had nostrils that flare. I'm sure that his didn't. And I wish I could control my eyebrow. So my problem is, I'm glad they're all right, but it's my problem. Because when I think I'm still, I'm not. That drives me crazy.
I too like your portrayal better than Basil Rathbone, although I see many similarities, and it's apparent you have studied him and admired him. The thing that really accentuates the two portrayals is the relationship with Watson. The Basil Rathbone Watson is more of a buffoon, in my opinion, and more blunders through things, whereas your Watson is more of an assistance.
Yes, well, the whole series was created by Michael Cox and Dennis Forman to put literature straight in regard to Watson. That was the reason for the series.
I think it works very well.
In other words, bring him into clarity as the best friendship in literature, or one of them anyway.
Yes.
And I'll look at the spin-offs, yes.
And when you mentioned, that some actors who portrayed Holmes want to do it as a one-man show, I don't see how that could really be effective when I've seen how you've done it in your relationship with the Watson character.
Well, it's probably just as well in this cast. Because I need people. And I think there are some actors who don't. In fact, I've worked with a few, and they're very lonely to work with because they never look at you. And I guess that has happened occasionally. What I call the black-eyed ones.
Do you have any insight on why the disparity between the two portrayals of Watson? Is it just interpretation of the script writer? How do you see Conan Doyle?
I think that probably one must remember that that when they made the films, Nigel Bruce and Basil Rathbone, it was a very delicate time in American history. Several of the films, of course, were propaganda to bring America into the war. That's why we came up to 1939 and did that reflection from before the First World War, from before the Second World War. Why they didn't do Doyle, I don't know. Maybe it was the studios. You see, the studios have to agree. Mine fortunately did. Thank God I threw the Dover cell over. But you see, you don't really have that amount of say. And I think that probably Nigel was cast. That means he was always Nigel. Not his fault. And you have to really take the Watson that you're given. You know what I mean? And therefore they probably adapted to what they were. And it's only because it isn't the only thing that's probably not been done, which is incredible, over 100 years, that no one's actually done Doyle, if we've got any originality at all. You could put Basil in, you could put Nigel in, you could put anybody in, because they're doing Doyle. In fact, wouldn't it be wonderful to see him doing Doyle now?
So you're satisfied with the Doyle quality of your particular series?
No. I'd like more. I'd like much more. I like extensions. The Dapper's done one or two good things. They've done a lovely ending to The Greek Interpreter, which ends a little abruptly, and they've done a marvelous train chase at the end, which I think is exciting. It's when they change the text that I get upset. Or cut out what I consider to be specific. I mean, I know you can't have everything that he ever wrote in, but there are some very important things that they leave out. That upsets me.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to say that I liked your performance in On Approval as well. That was rerun at Masterpiece Theater recently.
Bless you, thank you. That was a lovely change of pace.
I just had two questions. Number one, how did you get your start in acting? And number two, what is it about the mystique or training of a Shakespearean actor that seems to make them cut low?
I don't think there's any mystique. I tell you what it is, it's basically breathing. In other words, if you're doing Shakespeare, and you take, this too solid flesh would melt. fall resolve itself into a dew, or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. Oh God, God! You know, that's one breath. You have to have that kind of breath for Doyle, as indeed you do with Dickens. If you're doing Dickens, you have the same, you must have that training. Also, a sense of period, what part of them you're portraying, and when what period it's set, who was in government, who was king, or whatever. I became an actor because well, I suppose truthfully it's because I sang as a boy. I was a boy soprano. And I've got records of it, and it's not bad. It sounds a bit like, I was going to say Norman Schwarzkopf, I mean actually Elizabeth Schwarzkopf. And I sort of, I think I acted the songs, because I was accused. I sometimes trip over them too. But that's Sidney Paget and Doyle's. You see, what is absolutely fascinating, and then I'll shut up and we'll go and play, and that is that if the other Paget, who actually Doyle requested to do the drawings, had done them, because Doyle picked up the wrong brother, and he did the drawings, I wouldn't be playing Holmes ever. It would be Al Pacino. It's true. Because he did the cover of Punch and was a completely different kind of artist. But James Paget, the brother replied, and Doyle got the wrong brother. So, I mean, isn't it acceptable? Yes.
Mr. Brett, would you do us the pleasure of reading 221B, the sonnet, by Vincent Scarrett?
I'm dyslexic, I'm sorry, I can't sight read.
Excuse me?
I'm dyslexic, I can't sight read.
How do you feel, Mr. Brett, about playing that one bad point that Sherlock Holmes struck at, when many children today are singing show songs? Does it in some way make you feel negative toward that?
Well, I asked Dame Jean about this, and I said, can I please bury the needle in the sand, in the Devil's Foot? So there's a sequence in the Devil's Foot when I'm walking along a beautiful white beach in Cornwall, and I take the steering drive and I drop it into the sand, I look again, and heel it over with my foot, which is the only way I can say to the young, Holmes has kicked it. Of course, in those days, it was no more dangerous, they didn't think, than snuff. Wall Street, Fleet Street had opium dens. You finished your work, popped into the opium den before going home to the wife. You didn't mean it, Doyle, I'm sure. It has to be said hello to because it's there. But it's the least important element, I think, especially for nowadays. Although I've had some nice cocaine in my time for my teeth, when I had an operation on my teeth. But I've also drank a lot of Coca-Cola.
Would you elaborate on your interpretations with the humor? It seems that you bring out the humor that's in the canon, and you seem to have that wit and the ability to bring out. There's a lot of wit and humor in the canon that I think is missed a lot of times in your interpretations. All throughout all the productions, you seem to have been able to retain and bring out that wit that's present.
I read, I mean, I keep on reading every time it comes to a story, I read it again. The thing is that one of the things that throw me when I read, I suddenly read Holmes wriggles in his chair and roars with laughter. And I thought, how do I do that? How do I? So I thought I'm going to find other ways. It would just be me if I did it. You know, how does Holmes do it? I'm trying to go, ha! Or something like that, just to sort of give an impression of, And I think he does, I mean, I love humour, and I think that every dark person, whose Holmes isn't exactly light, every dark person has a lighter side. And so I try and winkle out as much humour as I can. I think it's partly to do with the severity of his choice. Holmes has made such an incredible choice, which of course is the envy of man and the puzzlement of women. He's chosen to be totally self-sufficient. Quite extraordinary. I mean, Doyle, Dr. Joseph Bell must have been some person.
But in response to that totally self-sufficient, it seems like Holmes needs to have Watson around, because in a number of the canon stories, it seems like there's a need for him to have Watson there, not only just to show his brilliance, but as companionship in that. Do you feel the same way?
Do you know, I've thought about this a great deal. I don't know, really. Obviously, Doyle had to invent a device for two people to have a communication, otherwise it would be just a monologue, wouldn't it, from Watson?
Because it seemed like I had the opportunity to see it in The Secret of Sherlock Holmes in England, and in that play too, it seems like there's a couple of parts in that where Holmes is not really begging, but sort of hinting that he would like to have Watson around, like after he comes back in an empty house and trying to
Yes, I'm just trying to think what Doyle is. I mean, this is my corruption. I think that I think Doyle really did mean Holmes to be a law unto himself, and Watson as his chronicler. And therefore, it's the difference between reading him and trying to visualize him or put him on the stage. But them on the stage. Then, of course, a relationship does exist. I personally would be lost without my Watson. I don't think I'd have got past Tuesday without either blowing myself up with the chemistry side or charging around London driving, the cabman's horse with a whip, and I'd have probably overturned it and ended up in the Thames. I mean, my Holmes, I don't think it, no. But I'm not sure what Doyle meant. I mean, it's a puzzlement, isn't it, to all of us who are interested. Yes, of course there's a friendship. I had an idea that Watson made me a boat, because I thought he'd come back from Afghanistan, and he carved me this boat, which I have in the cylinder on my bedside. Little intimate, things that we don't have to be said. And sometimes my Watson would say, "I'm all right." But little tiny indications that there's a need. I don't know what Doyle meant. We'll never know from him.
Yes, do you find that you take on any of the characteristics of Holmes, like in your personal life?
Yeah, there's one.
Like or dislike that?
I smoke. No, there's two. There's a great danger of playing the part. One great danger. And that's why I'm so thrilled to be doing this tour for public television. You can get isolated. He's an isolated person, and that can be quite invading. So I have to watch that one. That's about it.
You called your unconscious tics come across as if your mind is actively working on things. I wanted to know, I don't remember which episode it was an episode where Lestrade unexpectedly pays you a compliment.
The Six Napoleons.
It says there's not a man in Scotland Yard who would want to shake your
That's it.
hand.
Six Napoleons.
And there's a close-up on you where the acting that you crammed into it, it seemed like, for in the space of 5 seconds, seemed amazing. Can you tell me if you remember what went through your mind as an actor to do that? Or was it just your tics?
Well, I'll come clean. The tics are really irritated. There are other things which are... That moment I said to my director, David Carson, I said, it is the nearest thing that we can ever see of Holmes to breaking him up. But he mustn't cry. So let me just keep rolling. And the one where the eyes fill with tears, that's the one. But if anything falls onto my cheek, that's not the one. So we did it about 4 times. There was one which was, they thought, the best.
It seemed brilliant.
It's a very wonderfully moving moment when the strength of compliments. There are other marvelous moments coming up. I've just finished a film in which I had my first kiss.
Not Watson.
No, I'm not into massages. No, this is a girl of 22. And she's playing Agatha, and she is in the Middleton household. And I need to get into the house and find out all about it. And there's a moment. It's been in very good hands, this script, because it's written by Jeremy Hall, who also wrote the play, and many of the stories, the adaptations. And she suddenly turns and says, "Kiss me." But Holmes is disguised as Ralph Ascot, the plumber. And he takes off his cap and says, "I don't know how." Which is true. Holmes does it. And she says, "Oh, poor boy." Touches his lips. The next sequence, we go away from that. She jumps out of a tree onto Ralph, knocks him down, and kisses him. And what do you think Holmes does in my terms? Bursts into floods of tears. Okay?
Do you find you're getting more clout and the director's writing, listening more to you as the series moves on? Things you suggested have come about?
I tell you what's happened. We started very sluggishly, and people now suddenly want to be in it. I'm talking about my co-stars. I'm talking about writers. I'm talking about directors of photography. I'm talking about operators. I'm talking about soundmen. So everybody's coming towards. But it took 7 years. You see, when you start changing an image of someone who's so deeply loved, and start putting in a top hat, Homburg, Ebola, when you suddenly have Watson play straight, but not like Basil Rathbone, like Nigel Bruce, it's terribly difficult for people to accept that. Not the young, because they come to it fresh, but the people who are established in their vision of the two have an amazing amount to assimilate. And it's very difficult. I mean, I'm still stuck on Basil Rathbone. I still want to know why he did that with his hair. I want to ask him, you know. And he had a better voice than me. I think his voice is exactly as Holmes would have spoken, which is interesting because he was South African. But I think that his voice it's much more direct than mine. It's almost military in its precision. And because of my classical training, of course, I get a nice phrase. I'm inclined to say, "Oh, what a lovely thing a rose is." Whereas he would say, I'm sure, "Oh, what a lovely thing a rose is," which is, I think, near to hers. So I'm on the horns of my own dilemma. Yes, I think he had absolutely right. I think the sound, it was thrilling. It's a thrilling voice. Basil's the one for me.
Yes, I particularly like the liberties that are taken in Norwood Builder. I think it makes the story a much more reasonable outcome. I wondered if you had something to do that, or how you felt about it.
Well, just quickly tell you a story, immediate story about the Norwood Builder. I was in New York 3 weeks ago, and I was going down to see a girlfriend in the village. And I said, "Please, 42 Barrow Street." And we set off. And suddenly this wonderful New York, I can't do the accent, I didn't even dream of trying. He said, "When you walked along, You look just like a cat. And I said, so, what are you talking about? He said, the Norwood Builder. He says, my favorite moment of the Norwood Builder. Don't you remember the time when you're looking for clues and you get up and leap up on that catwalk and you walk along like a cat? And I said, he said, where are we going? And I said, 42 pounds. But I mean, that's how incredible it is. It's very exciting. I mean, that feeds me. You know, because filming is quite isolated. And that really gave me a great thrill. You know, this guy in New York driving me to Greenwich Village and see the Norwood Builder. I was really thrilled. As to the alterations, I failed. I think some of them are better. But there are one or two particular favourite sayings of his and that I miss very much. Can't get them all in, you see. I suppose. Try better next time. I'd like to make The Hunt of the Baskervilles again. I think it's our weakest film. Lost our way in that. But we got Basil, so that's all right. Yes.
Devil's Foot, when you go for that rain sequence after you do the experiment, that picture that flashes back, is that you, younger days?
Yes, that was me. They said, Jeremy, you're going to run in slow motion. How's he going to look? He said, oh, it's when they undercrank it. We're going to undercrank it. It'll look lovely. But in that film, of course, there's the first time and only time. Again, I rang Dame Jean Conan Doyle and said, may I call Watson John? And it's the only time that I've done it. The only time I've ever smoked the calabash to say hello to William Gillard was in Switzerland, in The Final Problem, because he might have bought it on the way.
I was just curious if you'd ever had a problem with somebody, a fan or something, confusing your character with you, and like asking you particularly for your deductions or to help you.
Oh, I've had children do that.
Pardon?
I've had children do that. When I was doing the play, the matinees were full of children, and I used to go, they used to stay, and I used to sit on the edge of the stage and they'd talk to me Sherlock. 2, 3, 4, 5 year olds talking to each other. Then I had to really think. Just don't right.
Did you have a lot of trouble overcoming your left-handedness?
It's a nightmare, especially when I'm having to write on the blackboard. I can't do it. I just guess there's someone else puts my jacket on and does it. I can't. You know the dancing man? Little thing, that's somebody else.